This is the Coffee Playdate podcast, and I am Dr. Olga Deengar, hospitalist, mom of 3 under 6, and a life coach for women physicians and professionals. On this podcast, I spotlight entrepreneurs and doctorpreneurs who are doing incredible things beyond traditional medicine. You'll hear the real-life stories behind their mindset shifts, the challenges they've overcome, and the practical advice that they share to support aspiring entrepreneurs on their own paths. Welcome to the Coffee Playdate podcast. I have a very special guest with me today, Dr. Kavita Patel. Welcome.
Thanks, Olga. I'm so excited to be here and to drink coffee.
Yes, it's great to have you. Speaking of coffee, do you like to drink coffee?
I do. I didn't start drinking coffee until I was a resident, which might be crazy, but once I got started, I couldn't stop. But I limit it to just a couple of cups in the daytime.
That's great. And how do you like your coffee?
So this is also, my husband makes fun of me because I basically drink cream with my coffee is the joke, because I put a lot of like milk or cream or creamer. I'm a sucker for like a sweet cream kind of addition to my coffee. I can drink it black. I have drank it black, but I prefer it with like some sort of sweet cream. I realize that as a doctor, that's not always the healthy choice. So I try to do like a low sugar cream, but still, I'm looking for a bit of cream with my coffee every morning.
Wow, I love that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's play our rapid fire questions game.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 2 choices. You just choose the one that you like more, and you don't need to give an explanation.
Okay. I'm ready.
Do you like prevention or treatment?
Prevention.
How about a flu shot early or late in the season?
Late.
How about biking or treadmill?
Treadmill.
And then breaking news or a deep dive segment?
Breaking news.
Perfect. Now for our next game, it's called Take a Sip. We'll answer the questions together. And if our answers match, then we have to take a sip from our coffee cups.
Okay.
First question.
All right.
8 hours of sleep or 10,000 steps?
8 hours of sleep.
8 hours of sleep. Me too.
Yay.
I'm watching
all right.
sleep with the baby in the house, you know.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one? Telemedicine or in-person visits?
In-person visits.
In-person visits as well. Yep. It's kind of hard to do telemedicine as a hospitalist.
It is. Yeah, it is.
How about podcasts or audiobooks? Which one do you prefer?
Audiobooks.
Me too. I love audiobooks. And last question. Traveling in Europe or traveling in Asia?
Europe.
Me too.
But only because I
Europe.
haven't traveled in Asia other than India. So I think I've just grown in love with traveling in Europe. But I'm excited to go to Asia because I think I might answer this differently after I put some Asian countries under my belt. So
Yeah,
we'll talk
absolutely.
again soon. Yeah.
Perfect. Let's take our last sip.
All right.
So, Kavita, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm an internal medicine physician. I'm a hospitalist. I'm a professor at Stanford, but my majority of my day, like what I'm doing today, is related to a role I have at a venture capital firm called New Enterprise Associates, where I play a role as a venture partner, which means I basically help advise and invest in companies at early stages, all in healthcare. And so this is a very interesting kind of twist and turn in my life, not something I would have planned for, but something I really enjoy. And then in addition to that, I teach classes at Stanford and also see patients, in between. I do quite a bit, but all in the name of medicine. And I've got 2 kids, so that ends up being the most probably important part of my job, and a husband and no pets, but I don't think I can handle with this 8 hours of sleep that I need. I don't get it, but I definitely feel like I've got a full cup every morning of things to do.
Yeah, I can imagine. With the advising role at the venture capitalist firm, what kind of mindset do you need to have that's maybe a little bit different from your role in medicine?
Yeah. So I think there's the mindset that becomes the most valuable is to have like a more expansive mindset, meaning you have to kind of suspend, I think in traditional, like when you're delivering care to a patient, so much of what you're grounded in doing has to be rooted in like the evidence and things and so much of what you do in early stage companies are honestly you're making things up as you go along because there's no like prescription or there's no Merck manual or up to date for how to start a company and how to create a company that scales to $1 billion. So you have to do a lot of like the mindset that really helps the most is a patient one that can be pretty open-minded to kind of ideas that might not be your traditional way of thinking, and also dealing with very different personality types. In medicine, you tend to have very similar people. You and I are probably very similar, as we saw from our game, about how we think about things. A lot of the times in venture, you're dealing with people who don't think like you do. So you really have to kind of just have a very different mindset than you would normally have when you're, say, seeing patients or dealing with other colleagues in medicine.
There's no blueprint, it sounds like.
No, no, there can be, like, you can do things that others have done before and people do. But often when you're dealing with a founder and a new idea and something that's never been done before, there is not a blueprint and there's not the right way or the wrong way. It's just the way you choose and kind of how you deal with that.
So, how have you kind of learned to adapt to your new role?
I think that it's that I've been doing it for now almost 10 years. I had to learn how to kind of be in three different environments at once. There's like traditional medicine and the way I kind of work in a clinic or in a hospital. Then there's like kind of the academic world, like Stanford, and just understanding the role that you need to have in order to succeed inside an academic environment. Adapting to your role in venture takes also that, education, reading about like decades of like other companies and how they started and how they've successfully exited, understanding why there are so few female founders, female investors. I've had to adapt by like learning to ask a lot of questions. I've even got like some Amazon books on how to read term sheets that I bought 10 years ago because I didn't know what people were talking about. I don't have an MBA. And so a lot of what I had to do was do a lot of self educating. And I continue to do it. Like every morning, I probably get like 3 to 5 investor emails where I'm just learning about something that I didn't know a lot about. And so that's constant kind of change and adaptation. And then also a peer group. I attend investor conferences. They're very different than medical conferences. And so finding yourself around others who think like you do is a very valuable asset.
Yeah. Oh, that's very cool. What do you think excites you the most about this job?
Think the thing that excites me the most is probably the chance to deal with like new entrepreneurs, new founders, like people who really are trying to change healthcare, but just need a little bit more guidance. Obviously, venture involves money, so they need money, but it also involves doing some other things that can make it easier to try to take an idea that might seem crazy. Let's design an artificial intelligence based tool for women's health. That might sound great, kind of today, but to do that takes money, effort, time, support. And I think it's exciting to be able to come in at the front kind of stage of that and help shape it and then potentially see that become like a multi-billion-dollar company. So I think it's very exciting. People can make money and also do something good for society, and that's exciting. And then third, I think healthcare needs the help. So having people who want to work on a topic like healthcare are incredibly valuable.
Do you have any examples of a challenge that you've overcome?
I think the biggest challenges are when things don't go right or the way you thought they would. I've had to in different times, COVID, like none of us had anticipated a pandemic, but several of our companies had to literally go overnight, just like many hospitals and clinics did, overnight from seeing patients in person to seeing patients virtually. And that involved like an all-night fire drill. And that also involves some painful decisions around money. And, if you're not seeing people in person and you're not keeping offices running, then you don't need all the staff that you might have had, that type of thing. So I find that to be like the most helpful thing to deal with challenges is to have that mindset back to flexibility and not as much of to try not to be so concerned about scarcity and what might not happen, but to actually kind of come into it with flexibility and a sense of mindset and abundance. Because in a time of challenge, the thinking is usually to kind of take away and to get smaller. But what if you use that challenge, like lack of funds or changing because of a pandemic, into thinking about how to be abundant? And that can be hard, but it can be also like an enjoyable part of dealing with that challenge.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We always have to try and adapt to whatever life throws our way, whether it's
Right,
COVID, whether it's
right,
an earthquake,
right.
whatever comes, welcome.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And then, what kind of advice would you give someone who's maybe starting out in the same space as you?
I think it would be like to try to build a community. There are a lot of us that are out there now. There are physicians that invest and do work with venture. So reach out proactively because we don't know you're there until you tell us you're there. So reach out and try to create kind of your own informal network and use like technology like podcasts and WhatsApp and other things that you do to help create like an kind of a peer group for yourself if you don't have anybody at work that can do that. And to to really prioritize doing things in person. I think that doing things virtually is really great, but it's not necessarily always the right way to go, for example. So I think in things like if you're starting out new in anything, being able to get together in person can be huge. So seek out, even if it costs some money, seek out those opportunities to get together with others, even if they feel like they're like-minded. You never know who you're going to meet until you take that chance. So take that risk, take that opportunity, and reach out to people.
So true. There's so much empowerment in a community. People who you are like-minded with, they can actually
Yeah.
lift you up. They can help you out in ways that you didn't even expect.
Yeah, that's
I
exactly right.
truly believe that.
I do too. Yeah.
And I'd love to know if you have a book recommendation for our listeners today.
Yeah, I have just finished. It's been a while. And we just talked about my preference to do audiobooks. So let me just make sure. It's called Five Types of Wealth by Sahil Bloom, Sahil Bloom, Bloom, and it's called The Five Types of Wealth. It sounds like it's about money, but that's actually like not the point. It's about different forms of wealth, including emotional wealth, physical wealth. And so I think it's an incredible read, especially for anybody who's listening to this, who's trying to just enrich themselves. So Five Types of Wealth, Sahil Bloom. I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much, Kavita. Well, it was great having you here on the show. I hope to have you on in a future episode. And thanks so much for your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Olga. Great to be with you and drink coffee.
Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee Playdate podcast. This episode is designed to help you stay driven, aligned, build momentum, and take action on your entrepreneurial journey. That's my Dhamma method in motion. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit subscribe and share it with one other person you think would benefit from it. Remember, you can design your life one intentional step at a time.